Welcome back to the O Show. Today we're going to talk about proof that the stock market is a massive Ponzi. Very similar to crypto. Very, very similar to crypto. Except with crypto, everyone has equal access to participate. With the stock market, you are not offered a level playing field. And the reason why that's so important is because I personally believe with all the insanity that we are seeing in the current state of the market, that things are going to get very, very interesting. And it might be people's last chance, retail's last chance to acquire generational wealth. I always hear a lot of people, especially on TikTok, which again, good morning to TikTok, to Rumble, to YouTube, to Twitch. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. I'm not really having a great week, so bear with me. We lost another person that was very close to my family, so I'm just not in the mood for anything today, but we always show up regardless. But the reason why this is so important is because everybody's looking for the next Bitcoin. Everybody's looking to essentially get ahead. And the way that you're going to do it is understanding and admitting what these things are and learning how to play the market ethically and legally. And we talk about ethically, that means just not dumping things, not committing fraud, not lying, and legally operating within the constraints of the law, just like Wall Street does. And it is what it is. The best way to do that is to essentially practice risk management, take profit, have entries, have exits, etc. And yesterday, we heard about the tariffs. It was a crazy day, crazy day. First, the tariffs were going to be imposed, and apparently 70 countries had reached out to President Trump or to his administration to kind of, coordinate, discuss, compromise with these tariffs. And then it was announced that there was going to be a 90-day pause, except for China. And it's just getting crazy over there. It's getting absolutely crazy. So that pumped the market. It was like one of the biggest stock pumps ever. People were saying that Trump was insider trading, which he publicly made a tweet before this announcement. So I don't understand how people say that it's insider trading. But again, everybody's entitled to their opinions and their thoughts. My only issue with saying that he did insider trading or whatever is both sides need to investigate each other. Okay. Reason being is, you can't just pick and choose who does something. And because somebody aligns with X, not be upset at them or not call them out. So again, I've commented on some of these people's posts. I'm like, well, what about Nancy Pelosi? Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Well, I don't know if China's being dumb on tariffs. This is the thing. One of the things you guys have to understand, I don't know a whole lot about tariffs. I took economics, all kinds of stuff. I'm of the belief that we are in a recession. I actually have a really good friend of mine who is an economist. And during the last bear market, I was like, hey, Tim, what books should I read? What books should I read to learn a little more about economics? It might help me be a better trader, better investor. He's like, really, most of it's a bunch of BS. And and we're talking about textbook stuff. And I get it's okay to have basic foundations on these things. But the way that they change their minds with inflation and CPI and all of that, that's where it gets to be problematic. Primarily because they change what type of end values, the sample size on all of these things. And they don't keep it consistent. And I understand in some cases you do have to update it, but at the same time, we are in a recession. Like, how are we not in a recession just because they're not reporting on some of these numbers? And they say, 2 consecutive months with the market being down. And I understand that. But at the same time, if people are not able to pay for basic necessities, food, shelter, and energy, that's where it starts to get problematic. So how are we not in a recession? Are we in a depression? What is it? Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into it and talk about what's going on. I totally thank you, gamer. I appreciate it. This one's a really rough one. Really, really, really rough one. I lived with this person. We had a cat together. Yeah, it's a rough one. This one's a rough one for me, but that's life. And I think the worst part about it is they have a young daughter. They've got a 9-year-old. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. I'm so checked out today. I probably will be the rest of this week. But it is what it is. And my eyes twitching from stress. But let's go ahead and get into the news because you guys are here. Let's give a shout out to our channel members. Good morning to Mr. D. Good morning to Julie, to Mr. R, to John Legend, and Mr. Gamer, and everyone else that's here. Funny thing, D and I were watching Tombstone last night because he was hanging out last night. And his character reminds me of Doc Holliday just because for multiple different reasons. But I was joking with him and called him Doc Holliday just for multiple stuff. And he knows a person that passed away too. They have a very interesting relationship. They're connected because of me. That's a whole nother story for a different time. I actually have a pretty funny story about the entire situation. Well, I don't know if it's funny or not, but it's very I don't know. I'm very checked out today. Anyways, let's get back into the news. And I got a video for you guys at 3 p.m. PST, 2 p.m. PST on XRP, so make sure you watch it. So let's get into it. During the White House event with auto racing champs, President Trump tells reporters he decided to pause some of his tariffs because he thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. I don't agree with everything Trump does, but he's funny. At this time, the United States of America is a massive joke. The representatives before, the public servants before, were a joke. This administration is a joke. It's all a joke. I was a single issue voter for crypto, and I'm happy with my decision. But at the same time, it's effing funny. All of this is. Let's go and listen to Mr. Trump over here.
About why you decided to put a 90-day pause. Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. It's one of those things they don't know quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well, and they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75, and they all want to come. They want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen. They'll call John, they'll do somebody, they'll go through somebody, but they're all calling, how do we do this? They all want to make a deal. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible.
So there's a couple things I want to comment about this. I can't even think. I'm having trouble thinking right now. So is what Trump is doing wrong with the tariffs? I don't really know. But at the same time, why do other countries have tariffs on us? Like, who are making all these deals before? And again, I made a post on X really kind of talking about all these different tariffs and all, like the way that economic policy has been. Can you guys hear the sound? Oh, can you guys hear me talking? Gamer, let me know in the chat, because I have my Telegram off today. Let me know in the chat if you could hear me on YouTube. Fine. Anyways, back to what I was saying. As far as the stuff that's going on in Trump, like who and the tariffs, who has been making these deals and these policies in the past? Like, all these public servants are at fault, all of them. I do think it's kind of interesting, and it's good that he did essentially halt tariffs for the next 90 days. That's good, to continue to broker deals with some of these countries. But anyways, we'll see what ends up happening. But the stock market pumped massively on this news, on the halt. And again, crypto pumped as well. Over here, this is from the White House, which is freaking funny that they posted "Let him cook." I don't know why my posts are not showing up on X. It's really, really, really weird. I actually want to look at this right now. Oh, I sound fine. Okay, good. Oh, it was when Trump was sounding. Yeah, he sounds weird for some. The clips sometimes they sound weird. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know, where the hell am I? Maybe I didn't post here. Anyways. And then also too, China, they commented and they posted this: "We don't back down." But eventually they're going to have to make a deal unless they can rely on other countries, because America's full of consumers. Over here, President of China could start withholding antibiotics, rare earth minerals. The antibiotics, that's a little bit worrisome for me. Like, why are we not getting, like, making medications here or in other places? I don't know. But the rare earth minerals, that could be a massive problem. Also, too, this is from Charles G. White House officials now concede the potential TikTok U.S. deal. Sale to U.S. company by Chinese is off the table for the foreseeable future, and maybe forever, as we go to a trade war focus on totally on the Chinese story developing. And that's the unfortunate part of this, is there's going to be a lot of people that are getting hurt in the process. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. We've got TikTok for another 2 months, but again, We'll see. And this story is important here. So China starts dumping U.S. treasuries as trade war keeps escalating. Now, Beijing may be selling U.S. treasuries to pressure Trump. China holds around $761 billion in treasuries officially, possibly closer to $1 trillion with hidden holdings. Dumping treasuries raise U.S. borrowing costs and pushing up yields, risking broader market instability. Experts warn that the backfire on China, which holds negative $3 trillion in U.S. dollar assets, selling too fast would hurt its own reserves and strengthen the yuan. Large treasury sales could crash the U.S. dollar. And this is 100% true. But at the same time, this is why it seems like we might be getting a digital reset with a digital currency. Those CBDCs. China already has the yuan. And with that being said, it seems like they're going to have to kind of cut interest rates in America. But again, we will see. And then this is the part about the insider trading here. So at 1:02 p.m. ET, the S&P surged nearly 1% in 4 minutes without any major news. By 1:10, the 1% rally was largely erased. Then 8 minutes later, at 1:18 p.m. ET, Trump announced the 90-day tariff pause. So they're basically insinuating that somebody knew. But again, it is what it is. This is how these things work. And it's kind of crazy and unfortunate and wild to see. There's always going to be market manipulation. There's always going to be insider trading with our public servants. And it's sad to see because we're the ones that get screwed. But crypto, when we have crypto essentially levels the playing field out for us so we can participate. And I'm not talking about the stock market, but you know what I mean. So things are getting very, very interesting in crypto and with China and whatnot. And of course, we have somebody like Elizabeth Warren calling for an investigation into whether President Trump manipulated the market to benefit his Wall Street donors, all while working people and small businesses paid the price. Right now, small businesses and the people, they're not paying the price yet. Some of these small businesses that do import from China, yes. But at the same time, it's kind of wild to see what the other side is pressed and what they're worried about as opposed to actual American safety, Americans being able to pay their bills and Americans putting food and having shelter and paying for energy. So should they be investigating? I don't necessarily think so, because if he tweeted before all that stuff started happening and then people started getting in the market, to me, that's not insider trading. Insider trading is what Nancy Pelosi does, is creating policies and then buying or selling stocks based on those policies. But again, I'm just an idiot on the internet. What do I know? And $4 trillion was added back to the stock market in 10 minutes. So this is the thing with this happening here. I personally think that we're going to see a lot more of these announcements come. And I made a video yesterday also talking about it. Q1 and Q2 have been immensely volatile for crypto. I think that this volatility may extend into Q3, primarily because we have the 90-day pause on tariffs. So with that being said, I would probably pay a lot of attention to the market. When you're able to buy the dips on projects that you like, you might want to consider doing that, because I don't think Trump is going to inherently crash the stock market. He's going to want to make his voting base proud. And there's going to just be a lot of manipulation that continues to happen. And again, there's other people that are in power, these ivory towers from the banks and hedge funds and whatnot, that will be, taking advantage of this regardless of what political side they're on. And also to you guys, make sure to smash a like. But again, I don't know why I keep having all of this. I've been a cuckoo lady. All right. Okay. The European Union Commission is putting its countermeasures against U.S. tariffs on hold for 90 days. And then this story over here, Goldman Sachs rescinds recession call after Trump tariff pause. This is probably the most ridiculous thing ever. And this is why I'm so irritated with TradFi talking about recessions. It's like, so first Goldman Sachs says, yes, we're going to go and we're heading to a recession. JP Morgan, yes, we're going to a recession. And then after Trump put the tariffs on pause, they says they're going to rescind the recession call. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of disgusting. And it's just really kind of screwing around the people. It really, really is. So is what it is. But moral of the story for you guys is right now, we are going to be entering into an era where you're going to be able to make a lot of money if you play the market correctly. You're going to have to remove your emotions. You're going to have to practice critical thinking, and you're really going to have to work hard and continue to self-educate yourself. This is just my personal opinion. As far as the entire market goes with crypto, we saw a bull market with some alts and with meme coins for sure. And I do feel like we may get a similar scenario like we saw last cycle, which I'm going to show you right now. This is the state of the crypto market. XCN is up on the daily. Everything is kind of down. Everything pumped and kind of dropped. But I do kind of foresee us seeing some sort of pattern like this. Back in 2021, we hit 65,000, April 12th, 2021. We dumped 30%, 40%, I believe, and then we hit 69,000, then we went to a bear market. I think that this is a super cycle. I think it's just going to be a lot different than what we've seen before, what we will see before. Right now, when we do take a look at Bitcoin, we're dropping. We do have great support at about 71,000 over here, and we might even continue to drop and test like 70, 71,000, maybe even a little bit more, maybe even 60,000. Again, I don't want to necessarily call for that, but I think that we're going to have an epic run up once all this tariff stuff gets situated. And I think we will essentially see some sort of alt season, fingers crossed. Also, with that being said, I know people are like, well, Wendy, stocks are not correlated with crypto. Kind of, sort of, though. Or tariffs are not correlated with crypto. Kind of, sort of, in a way. Because, again, we're seeing all of this in all of this volatility and all of this liquidity entering and leaving the market. And you also have to understand, once we get those ETFs, we're going to see even more insanity happen. What might end up happening with the crypto markets is Bitcoin might be that outlying asset that just pumps to $250,000. That's per Charles H, which we'll talk about that in a second. But at the end of the day, regular cryptos like the top 1,000 might trade like stocks, and we might just have the meme coins and the low liquidity stuff that gets the altcoin season as a crazy pumps. I don't know. But that's something I have been thinking about. So we're going to have to learn how to play the market. Now, taking a look at the daily chart, we are still in a downtrend over here. We got that swing wick high, and we really need to break out above $83,000. We need to break out above $83,000 over here. Are we going to do it? I have no idea, but we will see. But even if we get that nice consolidation between about 74 and 83, that's fine with me. And it does look like we are going to continue heading back down. Market CIPHER did print a green dot, so maybe we just go sideways. Also, to you guys, if you want to use my ref link down below to sign up for Femex, they're giving away some money, some tether for signups, and anybody can sign up. So if you want to go ahead and sign up, the link is down below. If not, no worries. Now, taking a look at Ethereum, Ethereum was up. I should have sold some to about, I'm actually going to remove all this crap. Ethereum was up at about 1669, and now we're kind of back down. I don't have a lot of hope for Ethereum. It makes me a little bit worried. But at the same time, we do have some positive news. We'll talk about Ethereum in a little bit. And I would think the only thing that essentially is going to help save Ethereum is a massive bull run. And once we get the staking for the ETFs. But at the same time, I hope we don't see under $1,000. I really hope we don't. But anything can happen. Taking a look at Solana, we're just getting a nice retracement across the board. Probably going to, what are we at? 110. We're probably going to fall back down to about 96. SUI pumped up to about 219, wasn't able to sustain and head down. XRP did incredibly well, but again, XRP is still in a downtrend. It looks like we're going to retap on to 177, which is unfortunate because $2 is incredible support for us since December 1st, 2024. As far as Link goes, Link is now dropping again. I'm going to try to buy some in this range under $11. And Aave is another one I'm looking to get, but I want to get it down over here. I want to get it under $100 if I can. I know I'm being greedy. And as far as HBAR goes, HBAR is actually held up a lot better than everything else. Again, not financial advice. I'm just talking about the markets and stuff. All right. Now, let's get into some crypto stuff. Well, first, CPI crap. So CPI was announced, okay? Inflation rate eases to 2.4% in March, lower than expected, core at 4-year low. And then basically CPI is consumer price index, and it fell, putting 12-month inflation rate at 2.4%, down from February's 2.8%. And of course, it excludes food, energy, and so-called core inflation, ran to 2.8% annual rate, having increased 0.1% for the month. That was the lowest rate for core inflation since March 2021. The way that inflation is calculated is also, even in the previous administration, was without food and energy, which is a bunch of BS. Like you cannot say inflation is down if cost of food and energy are in there, because those are basic necessities. If Americans cannot cover basic necessities, you're in a recession. Your economy is not doing well. If you have to use credit cards to put all of those items, the daily necessities, in debt, your economy is not doing good. So this is why I get so frustrated with all this crap. It's to the point where it's just bollocks, a bunch of bullocks. Okay, but anyways, good, cause of crypto to dip. So Andrew, my buddy, says inflation has been falling for 2 years now. Markets don't care and have moved on to other metrics. Zero response data. I like Andrew. Also, too, S&P down. This was this morning. S&P 500 down 4.2%, Dow down 3.4%, and NASDAQ down 5%. And no, we are not saying thank you. We are not saying thank you. Yeah, but it could be a global reset. So this is from my buddy, Mr. Charles over here. Let's actually watch this together. Shout out to Mr. Charles H. About Bitcoin going to $250,000.
Get back to kind of where we currently are. You don't think we're heading towards another crypto winter at all?
No. I think Bitcoin will be over 250,000 by the end of this year or next year.
What's going to drive that, do you think?
What'll happen is that the tariff stuff will be a dud, and that people will realize that the world is willing to negotiate, and it's really just U.S. versus China, and a lot of people will side with us, some people side with China. The markets will stabilize a little bit, and they'll get used to the new normal.
Get back to kind of where
you know what? I agree with this take. I actually really, 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 really love this take by him. Basically, he's saying that the markets are being cuckoo right now because of the tariffs and all kinds of stuff. And he's very confident that Bitcoin will hit $250,000 or continue to run, and then the crypto markets will essentially follow along. I love this take. Absolutely love it. I agree with him. He said it a lot better than I did. So shout out to Mr. Charles H from Cardano. And I like Cardano too, you guys know it. Now let's keep getting into the news over here. There's more. World Liberty Finance moves $775,000 to a wallet they typically use for altcoin purchases. This is all alleged from Arkham. So again, it's just hearsay. You're going to have to verify it yourself. I don't know why I'm pulling out all these double things over here. This is from Mr. Jeff S. Ethereum ETF options approved, was 100% expected. Today was a deadline. I personally don't see it on the SEC website yet, but I'd be shocked if it were not true. And then he said, there they are. So this is positive for Ethereum moving forward. We know the Ethereum Foundation is a complete and utter hot mess. So unfortunately, traditional finance is going to be taking over for us, is what it is. I'm just here to make as much money as ethically as possible. But Ethereum ETF options approved for the Ethereum spot ETF, and it's absolutely wonderful. And we're going to have to continue to get updates like this moving forward. Now, Van Eck and NASDAQ just filed a 19B4 to list the Van Eck Avalanche ETF, which is good news. Again, another product made in America. We love to see it. Then over here, he talks about, I don't know why I have these doubled. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Hedera. And you guys know we're partnered with them for the O Show. But I wanted to kind of give them a big shout out for this. Again, Hedera, I think, is also going to be getting I think Hedera is also going to be getting, or HBAR is going to be getting an ETF as well. Again, it's made in America, et cetera. But Hedera focuses primarily on DeFi and AI and RWAs, which are really, 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 really important factors moving forward to focus on. And again, you can do your due diligence on all projects in crypto that are made in the USA that have these three features on CoinMarketCap. I just love that Hedera has it all in one. Well, not necessarily all in one, but they're a project that's really easy to discuss and talk about. But they're having a Hedera AI agent hackathon. And it's going to, they're gonna give away $30,000. So if you guys are interested, you guys are building and whatnot, I highly recommend you guys take a look at this. I think it's really important, especially moving forward. AI agents are going to be massive. Also, too, Charles Atkins of HBAR Foundation is on the main stage of the Paris Blockchain Week, discussing how tokenization is revolutionizing finance and the benefits of decentralized governance via Hedera Council. I want to listen to this a little bit, primarily because we know that Hedera is focused on RWA, but I do like that they do have the decentralized aspect as well, and they do have decentralized governance. I love that, and that's going to be also another important factor moving forward for crypto. And Hedera is actually doing things the way that Ethereum should have been doing them with their foundation and whatnot, but you know what you know. Gamer said that I think Van Eck was the people who are filing for Solana and Avalanche ETFs. I think so too, baby. We will see. We will see. Let's go and listen to this, though.
Google, Dell, IBM, you name it. And they basically help us, we meet on a regular basis. They say, this is what we're seeing in the market. These are the types of things we need to have built. These are the types of traps we need to run as far as, security and speed. Can you do it? And I think that's one advantage we have is real-time discussions with enterprises who need to put this into production. They can tell us how robust we need to make that network, and that's a lot of times why you'll see enterprises or financial institutions choose us.
I love that he's having this conversation so transparently because, again, I think the companies and the crypto projects that are going to make it have aspects of decentralization plus have aspects of centralization. When I say aspects of centralization, that is just them being able to communicate effectively with traditional finance, because traditional finance isn't going to go away. And I understand all of us, we got into crypto, essentially remove the predatory third parties. But at the same time, another thing we've talked about on the show a lot is being able to have clear communication and also compromising with the ivory towers, traditional finance, public servants, etc. And Hedera is just a really great example of doing that. They have an open dialogue. They're in Washington. They still have their decentralized governance, but at the same time, they're communicating effectively with people that have power to make choices, and they're building their project around, or they're advancing their project around that, which I think is outstanding.
Just, there is a lot of trust there. We were originally built as an enterprise grade chain. It just so happens that now the everyday user gets the benefit of
We're built as an enterprise grade chain, but the user gets the benefit. Retail, us.
having that infrastructure as well.
Absolutely love it. Love it, love it. Now, Miss Ellie, just in 52-44 vote, the Senate has confirmed Paul Atkins as the next chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission. If you guys don't know what this means, let me remind you. Paul Atkins is pro-Bitcoin, and he is officially replacing Gary Gensler. Mark Ueda from the SEC, who is also pro-Bitcoin and crypto, was currently the chair, was currently in charge of the SEC and holding the spot until someone from the until the new chair got confirmed, and it's Paul Atkins. And if this doesn't make you bullish, I don't know what to tell you guys. This is it's outstanding. It's really, really outstanding stuff. So, in addition to that, hold on. He's voted in 52-44, and he's a crypto advocate, and he's nominated by Trump. So as far as Mr. Trump goes, with all the crypto promises he made, he's done them, and I appreciate it. Also, too, OpenSea is talking to the SEC. So they're pushing the SEC to clarify that NFT marketplaces are not exchanges or brokers under federal securities law. This is important because this is going to help push rules and guidelines later, which we need. And then also too, we talked about the misconception. We talked about the DOJ essentially disbanding, but it's just going to be focusing on TDs, traffic stopping, and OC. Open investigations not aligned with the new policy will be closed, and they will no longer target exchanges, mixers, wallets for users' actions or unintentional violations. We love it. They're still going to focus on prosecuting bad actors, not DeFi developers. And again, they're going to be targeting on the real bad guys, not like the little stuff. So again, this is the thing, you guys, like, I know a lot of people are bearish and they're upset and they're frustrated about the current price action, but these are really, really important fundamental aspects that are laying a solid foundation. When we talk about foundation, I want to bring up support and resistance. You know, when you're looking at a chart and you're looking at support and resistance, when we're talking about support and resistance, you need a solid foundation, okay, like this. You have this foundation here, and it's generally very hard for price to break down below levels. So let's say, for example, this level here at $2.44 trillion. We call that support, okay? So this is where we're talking about having a solid foundation. We talk about previous price action. This is exactly what we're seeing with policy. So I am immensely bullish. I am bullish long term, and I'm just excited to continue to self-educate myself, chat with you guys, create content every single day, and get us all as rich as possible to take care of our families. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I gotta go. I gotta make a second media piece for you guys. I gotta do some tiki-talkies, and I have a media piece coming out for VeChain. Big shout out to Hedera, to HBAR Foundation, to Market CIPHER, and to Brave Browser. Appreciate you guys, and as always, do your due diligence, and nothing is financial advice on this show. Bye.